question for you. You guys are right up there in rankings. I know you try not to pay attention to all that from a defensive standpoint, but what in your mind determines this is a good defense? Like, what is it? Is it turnovers? Is it points score allowed? Is it yards? Is it third down efficiency? Is it red zone efficiency? What, to your mind, is the number one?
Wins.
Josh?
Yeah, Josh, good morning.
Good morning.
What's the challenge this week? And you've done it before this season, but preparing for two quarterbacks. And if it is Marcus Mariota, what does he present for your defense?
Well, I think going into every week, you prepare for their entire roster. And sometimes you got to prepare for, practice squad guys that could be flex. So, obviously, we're going to do our due diligence on Derek Carr. We're going to do it on Mariota, and we'll study Peterman too as well. So, and it's like, usually backups, no matter, it's not exclusive to the quarterback position, but there's usually, differences. So, we have to make our players aware of, what we feel like their strengths are. What we feel like some things that they might struggle with. And then, we definitely have to be aware of who's in the game. And, we got a very good opponent this week. They have a very good scheme. They're very well coached. They're also a team that, things that have given us problems over the season, they'll do those too as well. So we've got a lot of guys to prepare for, and we're working hard to do that.
Joe?
Hey, Josh, good morning to you. When we spoke to yesterday, I kind of complimented him on his performance against the run the last couple of weeks. He's made a lot of tackles. He's had tackles for loss. He forced a fumble. He's had sacks. But he said something interesting, and I wanted to ask you about it. He said, I've learned that I don't need to make every tackle. Sometimes I just have to make sure I'm a part of a solid wall. Can you kind of educate me a little bit more on that in terms of what you want the players to do relative to assignment?
Well, yeah, there's 11 guys out there on the field, and they all have to be working as a unit. If we have one guy that breaks down, on every play, then a lot of times, those are going to be, big plays against us. It doesn't hurt you every time, but the majority of the time it really does. And I think, a lot of guys, we've talked about this before, the splash plays, the splash stats, sacks, interceptions, tackle for loss. Sometimes if you go try to make those plays and it's not within the structure of, what we're trying to do defensively, what happens is you open up creases and lanes for either quarterbacks to throw and step up in, or for running backs to find it and take off. So again, it's really a team thing. And, and a lot of times you see guys make plays, there's usually somebody else involved in it. We've had a number of interceptions this year where there's been good pressure. We've had a number of sacks this year where there's been good coverage. And then we've had some really good individual plays too. I'm not saying that, but I think it all kind of goes hand in hand. And I think that's, and again, we've got a good group of guys that they care about each other. They play for each other, and, and they're all genuinely happy when somebody else has success, and, eventually their time will come, and because they have success, somebody else probably set that up too. So I think that's probably a little bit what he was talking about.
Adam?
Josh, I wanted to ask you about the challenges of playing on a short week with obviously a holiday in the middle, on the road, going cross country. Did you start your game planning as soon as the game ended on Sunday? How did that work for you?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation, but that's what's presented in front of us. And, you got to cram as much in as you possibly can to compound. We are human too. So like, there's a holiday element here that, sometimes you got to, be able to block all that stuff out and prepare and go. And we've worked really hard all year to put ourselves in this position to play meaningful games. And, so like our sole focus is on the Raiders and, putting our guys in the best position to succeed. And, whatever the clock says or the time says, like, things have got to get done. So that's where our time, effort, and energy has really been.
Sofin?
Hey, Josh, good morning. I wanted to ask you about
Good morning.
John Gruden. What's it like preparing for one of his offenses, and how ready will you guys be for Spider 2 White Banana?
So I've actually had a couple interactions with Coach Gruden. He's a University of Dayton alum, and he's a tremendous individual. He's a very good football coach. His playbook is massive, and he does a very good job of attacking defenses. So we have a big challenge, like I said, in front of us this week. And he'll be quick to adjust. And they do a lot, and there will definitely be a game plan element to it. So there's a lot for us to prepare for. But again, we're going to put everything we have into it and try to put the guys in the best position we possibly can. And, hopefully we can go out there and execute.
Armando?
Morning, Josh.
Good morning.
You mentioned splash plays and splash stats. Xavier Howard, obviously, is one of those guys. Could you explain to someone who hasn't seen him play why he is successful doing what he does?
Well, I mean, first of all, he's gifted athletically. He has a really good skill set. He's strong. He's able to diagnose plays. He's got a good feel. He doesn't really panic when the ball's in the air. And I would say the thing that pleases me most about Xavier is, he's really a selfless player, and he's done really well in the run game, and he's really made some big plays for us. And, he's just a guy that you can count on consistently week in and week out. So, he has a nose for the football, and he's done a really good job for us, and he continues to work hard. He comes in and puts in a good week's work every week, and he's striving to get better. So, all good things to say about him. And, hopefully, he'll come in here this week and work harder to get better. And, he's been a productive player for us, for sure.
All right, final question to Hal.
Keeping on the theme with X, I wanted to ask you, first, your reaction to his making a Pro Bowl. I don't think anyone was surprised at that, but how would you feel about his candidacy for Defensive Player of the Year? There seems to be more talk about him as a strong candidate for that award as well.
Yeah, when it comes to off-season stuff or awards and stuff like that, I think we have plenty of players that are deserving of things, that work hard and that are good players. Obviously stuff like that's out of our control. I'm sure X is a deserving candidate. But like the important things for us as a group collectively are all team-oriented goals. So, and we're always happy for individuals when they achieve success. And like I said, I think, we've got more guys that are deserving of things. And, X has done a good job. Like I said, he's played consistently, week in and week out for us, made big plays for us. He's been productive. And it really, like a lot of things that don't get seen, I would say he's really a complete player. He can play in the run game. There's a lot of things, when the ball doesn't go his way that he does well. So, I mean, as far as like, the stats and all that stuff, I mean, look, those things are great. They're nice, but at the end of the day, our sole focus is on the Raiders and winning, and and everything that we can do, all our time, effort, and energy is going to be put into that.
Yeah, so I just want to get your thoughts on how the line performed. To our eyes, it was perhaps the best game of the year. And also with the success you guys had with Jesse at guard and then Dieter down the stretch, right? That change any of your thinking lineup-wise?
I think that the guys that have been playing will continue to play if they're available. It depends on who's available. The great thing is we've got some guys that we really trust and like in some backup roles, and if they have to go in there like Mike had to do, he went in there and played pretty good. So it's a plus to have those guys available when you need them. And we did some good things in the running game. I thought our backs saw some things really well this week. They were able to bounce outside a couple of times where we hadn't been able to do that before, and our line really stayed on the downs really well. And those linebackers, we kind of pushed those guys back into the linebackers, and those linebackers couldn't see the fits as well. So. It was a combination of several things there, and we had some good downfield blocking too.
Omar?
Chan, I want to ask you, do I have an echo? Wow. I want to ask you about RPO. How important is the run element of the RPO to actually make that style of offense work? And when did you see the RPO surface?
When do you see the RPO what?
No, when in college football, what era did you see the RPO surface?
Oh, wow. I can't even remember when that was. It was, back in probably the 2000s when all that started. But the run element is huge. I mean, if you don't have the run element, the PO part doesn't take effect. So you got to have the run element, and you got to be able to, put it in there and run it. And then if they collapse, or they move the linebacker or whatever you're reading, then you have the opportunity to throw the football.
Josh?
Hi, Chan. Good morning. I'm asking about Lynn Bowden Jr. and his development and just how he's progressed throughout the season. And also, what is it about his skill set, that ability to, typically make that first defender miss, that makes him so dangerous and useful for your offense?
I say that you can watch kids that come through today, which ones played tag growing up and which ones didn't play tag growing up. If you played tag, then you know how to make a guy miss. And he played a lot of tag, I guess, because he can make a guy miss. And he's got a knack. I've had a couple of guys like that in my career that can make a guy miss and see the field and see the next guy. And there's a few of those out there, and he's got that little knack to be able to sidestep, juke, whatever term you want to use. But he's pretty good at avoiding that head-on collision, that full speed tackle. He sees things very well and can control his body. His development has been I think not as quick as he wanted, but he had a lot to learn. He had a lot of to learn in our offense. He got here late, and then he was learning what to do and where to line up and how to run the routes and where we wanted him. And he's really, really, to me, come on really well in the last 3 or 4 weeks. He started to find where he is in the offense and make contributions. And when he makes contributions, then that gives us more confidence to continue to use him. And it's a two-way street there.
Steve?
And with Ahmed, for him to go undrafted and then have the success he's having, what are his attributes, and maybe what you were just talking about is one of them, his attributes that weren't readily apparent to everybody in college that are showing up now in the NFL?
You know, he's another one. Everybody looks at speed. You know, oh, he's got great speed, but he's got some awareness about blocks. I think Eric Stewsfield does a great job of explaining principles of running. You know, who you're looking at, where you think the crease will be, when do you take the crease, or when do you look for the next crease. I think Eric does a super job with teaching running backs about the theory of defense and defenders and how they see things. And these guys are starting to learn those little things that are going to make the difference in being an average back or a good back, and maybe eventually a great back before it's over with.
Safid?
Hey, Chan, I wanted to ask what has changed either from you or from Tua or the offense as a whole since the Denver game that has really led to Tua's play in the last couple of weeks?
I don't know if you can put your finger on one thing. I think it's been a combination of him getting more comfortable. I thought Denver did a great job. They did some things that that we didn't plan on, and it hurt us. And that's my job. It wasn't him as much as it probably was me in that ball game. So I think that we've progressed in learning, where he's comfortable, what we can do, how can we incorporate what he's comfortable with, and what we're have available to us, using our personnel better, things like that. It takes time. You don't like to say that. You want it to all come together immediately, but it takes some time for all that to happen. And I think we've been, working towards seeing what we can be at some point in time. I don't think we've gotten there. I think we're still progressing, but we've made some progress.
Steve?
Hey, Jan, you faced Rod Marinelli fronts before and defenses before. What types of things coming into this week, do you think, you're looking to see in which your offense, the way, especially played last week, which you may be able to exploit?
We try to look at Rod, and I really call upon these other coaches that have faced him, because as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I threw away all my notes. I don't have any more notes, so I remember when Rob was in Dallas that that we played them. So I'll try to think back to that, but it's just you try to see what they did last week that was different from the weeks before, see where they may be headed with their defense. And you just adjust. It really is going to be a game of adjusting on the move.
Joe?
Hey, Chan, good morning. In looking back at some of the longer runs from Sunday, it seemed that Shaheen, Smythe, and even guys like Hollins and Ford got involved in blocking. When you get the tight ends and receivers involved in blocking, how does that contribute, especially to longer runs?
Well, you seldom have a long run without those guys blocking, unless somebody falls down. You seldom have one of those. That's something that we've been working on and trying to get better at each week, is how we can control those guys in the secondary. How can we affect them and get them blocked? And they're getting better every week. It wasn't just yesterday. I thought they've been getting better each week doing that, and so we got to continue that.
Last question, Alan.
Good morning, Chan. Piggybacking a bit off of Joe's question, tight ends so often are judged strictly by the number of catches they have, which makes it easy for a guy like Durham to kind of fly under the radar. So I wanted to ask you how you would assess his value to the offense because of his blocking.
Yeah, he really does a good job. He does a lot of things for us. He can play multiple positions. He's very intelligent. He's a tough guy. And just coming back from the knee injury that he came back from this year, he's a true tough guy. And I feel like that he's very valuable to us as a football team, as an offense. He plays special teams. He does a lot of things to help this football team be successful. So I'm glad he's here. I'm glad he's on our side.
Good morning, Danny. I wanted to ask you about the fake with the reporting or lack thereof declaring eligible by Camu. What's the procedure for that? And why is there some confusion sometimes with players that they thought they did, but they actually didn't?
Right. Well, again, there shouldn't be. The league has made an emphasis. About the middle of last year, they've really expanded that process where they want everybody reporting whether you're eligible or ineligible. So they've really widened the scope of what their expectations are, but it's simply a matter of, again, it's part of your assignment that takes no talent bucket that we've talked about here for a couple of years, and just understanding how that has to happen.
Hal?
So following up on that question, Danny, is it a matter of a player speaking, I'm eligible, to one of the officials? Is it a hand signal? And what specifically happened on that play?
Well, it's a combination. I mean, it's the referee, and it's solely the referee. I mean, that's changed. It used to be the umpire. Now it's the referee. And it's letting him know, verbally, that based on your position and what you're doing, whether you're an eligible or an ineligible player based on your jersey number.
Alan?
Good morning, Danny. Jason, as we all know, is having this incredible season now, though he's got a miss in each of the past 2 games. Do you tell him anything to maybe get his confidence back on track, or you leave him alone?
Well, in regards to his confidence hasn't wavered. And, for me, is if he's hitting good balls, and the ball he missed on Sunday was a good ball, faded a little bit left at the end. But as long as his operation is clean and he's hitting good balls, we stay the course.
Hal?
Danny, I'd also like to ask you about the 2-point conversion play. That's one I've never seen before. I don't know if anyone on this call has seen a hook and lateral on a 2-point conversion. Can you tell us how that idea came about and what you saw in the execution?
Well, again, that's the offense executing a good play. But anytime you can get people to have to change what they're doing in terms of where the action's going and where the final result is going, you sometimes give yourself an opportunity to have a successful play.
Final question, Adam.
Danny, I want to ask you how you personally have handled 2020. We're getting close to the end of the year now, and it's been just a year none of us have ever seen before. How do you think you've handled it? What's something that you were particularly proud of in the past year, and what's something that, man, if I had to do over again, I would?
Oh, geez, we don't have enough time on this call. I think the thing the thing I'm proud of is the fact that we're here. That we've played 14 games. We're getting ready for our 15th game, but it's really been a really difficult season for everybody. You play the hand you're dealt, but this has not been a fun hand to play. the things that a lot of the things that you truly enjoy and make this job so special, in my opinion. The camaraderie with the staff and the players, and a lot of those things. It's hard to miss those things.